Anyway, welcome to the Skid Marks podcast. My name is TJ, and this is my co-host Drew. And we're just kind of gonna bullshit, but it's gonna be fun. Today we're gonna talk about the 2022 driver recap, where we think that they should have been, or where they really ended up, along those lines. So Drew is listening in front of him. He's gonna read off names. We're just gonna talk. So if you're into that stuff, cool. If not, I don't know. There's other people that exist, but yeah.
All right. So starting at 22nd, Nico Hulkenberg.
So we talked about this earlier.
Yes, we did.
I forgot he existed this year. Kind of like the whole Mazepin situation. Technically, Mazepin is 23. Technically.
But he never entered a race.
Correct. But he was on the lineup.
True.
But once again, I forgot he existed.
Yeah.
So he deserves 22nd. Like, I think that's very on par.
He drove a whole 2 races and did nothing impressive.
Yeah.
All right. 21st, Nick DeVries with 2 points.
I mean, one race. He performed where he needed to be, though. He did have the luxury, was it Monza?
Mm-hmm.
Of that car just being fast in a straight line. But, I mean, he got points on his debut, so
Yeah.
better than Snowden. Anyway.
And then 20th, Nicholas Latifi, also with 2 points
Yeah.
as a full-time driver.
Yeah. What is your opinion on Latifi? Because I could go on and on about everything, but do you think that he even belongs on the list, or?
Well, he was on the grid this year, so he does belong on the list, but obviously, considering he got a whole 2 points in whatever the nonsense was that Japan was, which is where he scored his 2 points.
Yeah, I forgot Japan existed too.
Yeah.
Just because of the whole issues with everything and all the red flags.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he got points, but like
He did.
it's Latifi.
Yeah.
Sorry, Latifi fans. I don't like Latifi.
Yeah, very subpar season compared to last year. Williams actually looked decent for a short amount of time, with both him and George scoring points in
But
the same races.
that was the biggest thing was Hungary.
Bottas bowling.
Yeah, and that was kind of a miracle for him, I want to say. I mean, he made it to F1, so obviously he's a good driver in some regard. But I think he's one of those names that like people won't miss in the upcoming season.
Yeah.
Unless you're like truly unless you're truly a stan of him, no one's gonna care.
Yeah. All right. Then 19th, Alex Albon with 4 points.
I mean, it's Albon.
Yeah.
Albon's good. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I still think he needs a lot more development.
Mm-hmm.
He's consistent. He knows how to drive. I mean, he was in a Red Bull seat. Granted, the time that he was at Red Bull wasn't amazing, but I don't know. It's the car. He tried. At least he outscored his teammate
Yep.
on his debut season at that team. So he's unfortunately just there.
Yeah. On a good day, he looked good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but on a bad day,
It was Williams.
it's Williams. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. 18th, Guan Yu Zhou, 6 points. Is that right?
He only had 6.
6 points.
Really?
Hold up. Pulling up the official F1 standings. Yeah. 6 points.
I thought he had more.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like Zhou is one of the better rookies we had in a while.
Yeah.
I know we even talked about it beginning of last year, how we gave him so much flack for like, oh, a pay driver, blah blah blah, and other people should have been in that seat. But now I don't have that mindset anymore. I think a lot of people kind of dropped the whole stigmatism of that pay driver with him, just because he was consistent. He was consistent enough to do decent or well, and very rarely had a bad incident or had a bad race.
Yeah.
He was midfield, consistently midfield, but I mean, I'm intrigued to see where Valtteri is on this list. But I mean, he got points. He got points his debut race as well. So I mean,
Yeah.
he knows how to drive. I'm looking forward to this season though, 2023. I feel like, and we'll talk about this in a whole other another topic that we prepared, but I think that where he is now is a very good foundation for where he can go.
Yeah. And considering it was just midfield and he was a rookie, scoring points at all is impressive enough.
Scoring points as a rookie with a car that's been up in the air for the last like 4 years. 4 years? 3 years?
About that.
3-4 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah. Number 17, Yuki Tsunoda, 12 points.
Do you want to talk about this before I Tsunoda slander?
Oh, you can go ahead.
Yuki is just. He had so much potential, but he just underdelivers every single time. Like, I don't know. It's very hard for me to see him in a seat soon. Or I should say in a seat after the season, depending on how he does. Granted, the car wasn't the best. AlphaTauri from 2021, when Gasly drove the wheels off that car. And Tsunoda, he did well. Had a rough rookie season, but he did well. Well, it's still a stretch, but I mean, I'm not gonna just slander him constantly. Last season, half of it's the car, half of it's him. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But if the car is good this year, and he's not,
yeah, definitely needs to take a step forward.
Yeah.
Number 16, Mick Schumacher, also with 12 points.
It's Mick.
Yeah.
Consistently inconsistent in the first half of the season. The last half, he put a lot of pressure on his teammate. And I think with Haas as well, you had Magnussen come back and score points. Did he get fourth or fifth?
Yeah, I think it was top 5.
So the bar was here. Like the bar was to the roof for that team, and unfortunately, Mick was stuck at the bottom. And I think towards the latter half of the season, they both came closer to the middle. Mick got accustomed to the car and could start driving, and Magnussen, because he was held at such a high standard, it seemed as if he was falling, but in reality it was just all the other teams, the development was better, I think. There's not really much more to say about that one. I think it is what it is.
Yeah. Still a very midfield car.
Yeah, which is good. Good. It was competitive for once. Hopefully it goes farther.
Yeah. I don't think he's done in F1 yet. He'll be back.
You think so?
Yeah.
You're thinking the whole Audi deal?
Not quite there. Maybe a season or two down the line, someone's looking for just anyone.
Yeah.
And he has some experience and F1 royalty.
Yeah,
they love to say that one.
He has the name.
Yeah.
He has the Schumacher name, which is good and bad, because if you don't perform to the standard how everyone's holding you, but at the same time everyone's like, oh, it's okay, buddy, pat him on the head, give him milk and cookies, and go on his way. I do hope he is back.
Mm-hmm.
For multitude of reasons, but we'll just have to see.
Okay. Number 15, Lance Stroll, 18 points. Oh boy.
I just keep sighing.
Yeah, because Stroll.
Yeah, daddy's money.
Oh.
I will say though, the more that I see Stroll drive, let's just forget about Texas.
Oh. Oh. Flashbacks.
The more I see him drive, he's not horrible, but he's not good.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I would have to say about him.
Yeah.
I'm glad Vettel outperformed him because he should have, but Stroll's one of those people where I don't know how much longer he has in the sport.
Yeah. Another name that won't necessarily be missed. Maybe by some.
I think that his name will stay around because of history,
Yeah.
because of his father owning a team. Because it was Racing Point, and then it went into Aston Martin, where it is now.
Mm-hmm.
It'll exist in history. I just don't know if it's going to be more of his father's name or his.
Yeah.
And that's up for discussion.
Also, the car underperformed more often than not.
Yeah, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw it was just a green Red Bull for a minute,
Yeah.
and there was hope in the back of everyone's mind, I think. But then again, it's a midfield team for a reason.
Yep.
But I think he's very adequate to where he is. I think he's very middle ground. I think he's where everyone expected him to be, and I think that's okay for now.
Yeah. Number 14, Pierre Gasly, 23 points. Yeah. Yeah. Blame the car, move on.
Yeah, literally. Poor guy. Other than Tsunoda spinning him out and shunting him a couple races.
Yeah.
Was a couple or only one? I'll say it's a couple. I have Gasly bias,
Oh yeah.
but I will say the car was shit. And we said that with Tsunoda as well. I think that he's a better driver than what the car could do.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
You also had a bunch of DNFs too, which should help for points.
Yeah. And very related to this season, but last season, always dragging a midfield car into Q3.
Oh my god.
Seemed like he was always fighting for the top 5.
Where was he that he started front row?
Front row. I don't remember that one.
Oh, I do, because that was a moment. He drove the piss out of that car to start front row. I think people also took penalties.
Yeah.
I know it was, I want to say it was Middle East. I can't remember what track it was though.
Qatar?
Yes.
Because I don't remember much about that race other than Alonso podium.
I think he was front row for that. I think Hamilton was first and Gasly started second.
Maybe.
I could be mistaken.
We do have Google.
That would be 2021 Qatar.
Yeah.
I guess we should have to look. Start.
Qualifying results.
Would it be qualifying results? Or would it be starting grid?
Well, he was 4th in qualifying.
Yes. He was consistently 4th in qualifying too.
Yeah.
Or I guess consistently in Q3, as you said.
Yep. He started 2nd.
Yeah. So I mean, the fact that he got that to where it was,
Yeah.
I mean, he drove the piss out of the car. So, I'm excited for the season.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm excited for the season.
Hoping that the team takes a step forward.
Where he is now, yes.
Yeah.
For his sake, I hope it does.
Yeah.
He has a lot of potential. Or he still has potential, I should
He is
say.
at Alpine this year.
Yeah.
Forgot for a bit.
Yeah, he's at Alpine.
Which was a decent car last year.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're consistent.
Yeah. And that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And once again, that's another topic. but I hope that team delivers for him, for his sake.
Mm-hmm. All right, number 13, Kevin Magnussen, 25 points.
I feel like saying only 25 is harsh, but he has experience.
Mm-hmm.
The first half of the season, the car was good.
Yeah.
Not amazing, but it was good. It was top midfield.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we saw viable for points.
Yep.
First race out. Red Bulls did DNF.
Yeah.
You have to kind of remember about that,
Yeah.
but still fourth, and we'll have to give him credit. I feel like he could have done more. I once again with Schumacher, I'll chalk it up to the team just not developing the car in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
He's not developing it very well.
Yeah.
But I think he could have done better. He had his moments, but I feel like he could have had more moments though.
Yeah.
And I think that's the main issue surrounding his name right now.
Mm-hmm.
Is there needs to be more.
I think he had the pole in Brazil, and really,
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
yeah, he had that, and then just all of Bahrain that weekend was just solid.
Yeah.
Or like very good for
Yeah.
that car and where it was.
I mean, he has his moments.
Yeah.
And they do outshine the negatives, which is good, but he needs more moments, or he just needs consistently good.
Yeah.
And he is good, but I think he needs to go up a tier and just be a little bit better than good in order to stay in the sport.
Agreed. Number 12, Sebastian Vettel, 37 points.
You as a Vettel fan, you take this.
Oh, well, starting out, Aston Martin. What did they do to my boy?
They massacred my boy.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd say he showed he still had it this year. Because last year he made a couple podiums, and he was still pretty consistent. Looked like there was an upward trajectory from the end of Ferrari.
Yeah.
And I guess just Aston Martin being Aston Martin couldn't give him what he wanted, so that's why he called it.
You think that's why he retired?
Well, also he has other things he wants to accomplish,
Yeah.
bigger things than the sport.
Everyone's saying that he's gonna come back. The more I think about it, the more I find it hard to believe. I know that hurts you.
Breaking my heart.
I know that hurts you, but I just think that with racing, he's going to pursue other things. He's with is it this weekend?
Yeah.
The Race of Legends?
Race champions.
Race Champions, Race of Legends. Two Legends racing.
Basically.
Same thing.
Him and Mick at it again.
Yeah. Will he come back? Maybe. It's leaning more towards a no.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I can see him coming back in more of a management role for a team. I wouldn't know what team. Possibly Red Bull.
I mean,
But it's
maybe.
seems like a long shot.
Yeah. It's Vettel's one of those characters. How he's just very unpredictable.
Mm-hmm.
As a person. So we'll see in regards to what he does with the sport, if he wants to keep his name in the sport, I should say. As for the 2022 season, he did okay.
Mm-hmm.
Outperformed his teammate,
Yeah.
but it's Stroll. So I'm sad to see him go
Yes.
on such a low note. I think that's the saddest part.
Yeah.
If he exited Ferrari with like another world championship, I think it would have been better for him. But I mean, I think everyone is just sad to see him go.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I mean, he tried. He gets a gold star. His hair
Yeah.
came back. I mean, what else do
Oh,
you
yeah.
ask for? So I think
Yeah.
that's Vettel, really.
Very disappointing we didn't get our Alonso Hamilton Vettel donuts because
Yeah.
Alonso and Hamilton DNF'd
Yeah, that was.
on a very reliable car for Alonso, but we'll get to that.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever we get to Ocon and Alonso, it's gonna be rants.
Yeah.
But
All right. Number 11, also with 37 points, Daniel Ricciardo. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
So now he's a reserve at Red Bull,
Mm-hmm.
and you know my hot take about that. With what's gonna happen with him.
Yeah.
And they'll know about that relatively soon. But I think that with him, I don't think it belonged to that team. That team just didn't cater to him.
No.
I mean, you saw his second year at Renault.
Mm-hmm.
There was something there.
Yeah.
But I think in general, it obviously could have gone better for him.
Yeah.
But I think that with what the team supported him with, I don't know how upset people can really be.
Mm-hmm.
He just couldn't drive. He just lost his touch,
Yeah.
especially compared to the 21 season.
Yeah.
But I think that it is right for him to leave that seat. I just don't agree with the way that it happened.
Mm-hmm.
But for him not to be in the seat, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that he's unfortunately where I expected him to be. I wanted him to do better,
Mm-hmm.
but my expectations were already low.
Yeah.
And that's Ricardo.
Yeah. The team definitely had all their investment in Norris
Yeah.
as the McLaren Golden Boy. Nothing against Norris for that. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
But he deserves better.
He does.
He
does. He's back
didn't
with
get
Red Bull.
better.
He's back with
Yeah.
family.
He's back home.
True. So we'll see where that takes him.
Yeah.
But last season, I feel like it was kind of just a wash.
Yeah.
I think this is the season that he's going to want to forget.
Mm-hmm. All right. Number 10, Valtteri Bottas, 49.
So, Valtteri went from one of the big three teams
Mm-hmm.
in the better part of like the last decade.
Yep.
He went from Mercedes. I think because Toto says that he left on his own accord and it was mutual.
I do not believe that for a second.
Thank you. Yeah, no.
1 year deals. He never had a multi-year contract.
Yeah, I think they only kept him around as Hamilton's support.
Yeah.
And then when they realized, oh shit, George.
Yeah.
And they're going to make George the Hamilton successor,
Mm-hmm.
or they're going to try to at least. Will that happen? George has potential.
Yeah.
But Lewis is Lewis. He has 7 championships for a reason. And I think those are all deserved as well. But for Valtteri, midfield car. What place was he on?
10th.
Oh, for Alpha,
Yeah.
getting up to 10th. Yeah,
Pretty
he's
good.
that's good. I think he's where he should be.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully he doesn't go down next season. I think him hovering around like 10 or 8 is very good. 8 through 10, 10 through 8, same difference.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. At the beginning of the season, it looked pretty good
Yeah.
because he was up there with Magnussen. We saw 2 midfield drivers towards the front, and we're like, "What is this?"
Yeah.
We thought we were going to see Ham Vermont again.
Yeah, it was like, oh,
We really did.
yeah, it was good to watch.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that I really liked about this past year. I feel like the races were more entertaining, besides Japan.
Oh, I'm still mad about that.
I'm still pissed.
I
You
fell
and me
asleep
both.
and missed the entire actual racing part of it.
Yeah, I went to bed thinking that Verstappen didn't win the championship,
Oh, yeah.
and then I woke up and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
cool. But for Valtteri, I'm very happy where he is.
Mm-hmm.
I think he deserves that 10th spot.
Yeah.
I think he deserves to be in the top 10.
Yeah. Definitely a better mentally season for him.
Yeah.
Because Mercedes was always just, I guess, draining because he would always say he struggled
Yeah.
just mentally in that car, in that situation.
I mean, if you compare yourself to Lewis,
Yeah.
I mean, I would struggle too. Especially everyone knowing that you are the second driver.
Mhm.
I think it's nice for him to go to a team where he can be appreciated more, is hopefully be appreciated more, and then kind of take Zhao under his wing.
Yeah. You definitely did pretty good with that as seemingly a clear number one.
Yeah.
And he performed very well.
And we saw Brazil giving not Zhou, sorry.
Yeah.
Giving his teammate call-outs where Latifi was braking.
Yeah.
So he has the team leader in him. He just needs to bring it out more.
Yeah.
Which we'll see this season.
All right. Number 9, Fernando Alonso, 81 points.
Before I start to speak,
Oh boy.
where did Ocon finish?
Number 8, with 92 points.
So 92 compared to
81.
it should be flipped.
Yep. Well, once we get up to number 7, we can argue Alonso could have been fighting for that, but that's a different story.
So I'm just gonna talk about those two as a pair, just because they are 8 and 9, and I think it's gonna be simpler in general. The reliability of that car was horrible.
Yep.
There is a reason why in my fantasy teams I didn't touch Alpine with a 10-foot pole. In testing the beginning of last year, they showed they weren't reliable. I'm surprised more people didn't catch on to that.
Yeah.
Alonso was faded with how many DNFs? I want to say at least 5.
I want to guess around 7 or 8. Mechanical failure is probably around 5.
Yeah. Mechanical failures, or I'll just say DNFs in general. I know it's at least 5.
Yeah.
It has to be.
Yeah.
Because you have Austin, Mexico.
He didn't even DNF in Austin.
You're right, he got back into
Yeah.
points. Holy shit,
Yeah,
he
he
got back
dragged
into
that
points. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'm going to bump down to 4. I'll bump down to 4 DNFs, just so I can be safe.
Yeah.
He outdrove that car.
Oh yeah.
He deserved much higher than where he was, and I'm not an Alonso crazy fan. I
Mhm.
like the guy, but
Yeah.
I'm not like, oh, Alonso's the best. But that car was
No.
so bad.
Also that Australia qualifying where the car gave up on him after sector 2 and he was looking for a front row.
Yeah,
That's how good he was looking.
yeah. Alonso still has fight in him.
Yeah.
He is still one of the best. Can he get a car though? And that's the issue.
And where he went this year, I don't know about the car.
Yeah, I can't talk about that right now. That's gonna be a whole 30-minute conversation on its own.
Career decision curse.
Yeah, I think him going to Aston with the Mercedes power plant are really better, and I'm going to once again leave it at that.
Yeah.
I'm saying that way too much. But he deserved to be higher.
Oh yeah.
Not that I think that Ocon deserved to be lower, but I think that as teammates, Alonso beats Ocon not looking at points, because the points don't tell the full story.
Yeah. Plus Ocon driving like bumper cars on a few occasions around mostly his teammate.
Yeah. Ocon, he used to be like one of those underdog drivers for me.
Yeah.
I mean, him that win in Hungary in 21.
Yeah.
I think everyone was happy for him. But he's one of those drivers how we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
And I think that'll come within the next 2 years.
Yeah. All right. Does that also cover Ocon at number 8?
Yeah, I mean, I expect him to be top 10.
Yeah.
He's one of those names how he's upper end midfield, so I would expect him to be in the top 10 of drivers.
Yeah.
Especially with the car he had.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Very consistent, at least from what I remember.
Yeah, very, very consistently just getting points.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say consistently bad, because bad's not the word I want to use. Just consistently not great.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the best place to leave him.
Yeah. Number 8 is about where he should have been given the car.
Yeah.
All right, number 7, Lando Norris, 122 points.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah.
I don't have much to say on Lando for this.
Yeah.
Do you think number 7 is good for him?
Considering the gap to 6th and 8th, that's pretty decent. And
What is the gap?
well, 30 points back to 8th, and then over 100 up to 6th.
Yeah, okay.
So best of the rest is a perfect description for that,
Yeah.
by far. Because the McLaren and Alpine looked evenly matched on most occasions. If not Alpine getting the edge of it,
Yeah.
they're the better. But yeah, I think he's still got some developing to do.
Oh yeah.
But-
I mean, he's still young.
Yeah,
I think the car needs developing as well.
Yeah.
I feel like I just keep bringing up 21, but 21, he was driving pretty well
yeah,
for what the car was. He had how many podiums?
quite a few.
Yeah.
I think he was the
More-
only one outside of the top 6 in the championship to get a podium this year.
Yeah. I mean, the kid can drive.
Yeah.
That shouldn't even be an argument.
Yeah.
He can drive. The car is more catered to him than was Ricardo.
Yeah.
I think best of the rest, as you said, is the best way to sum it up.
Yeah.
It's he was good enough, and I think that's okay.
Mm-hmm. I'd say it could be argued he outperformed it a little bit.
Yes, and I would agree with you.
Yeah.
On that pick.
Considering that's a pretty decent gap.
Yeah.
All right.
But who was you said 6th is next?
Yep.
Who's 6th?
Lewis Hamilton, 240 points.
Okay. This is a weird one
Yeah.
because
It's been a while since he's been this low.
Yeah. I
About
think
10 years.
and that's the thing. I
Yeah.
think this was a shock to I think himself more than it was us. I want to see him do well. Granted, I want to see people that are good do well because they bring more publicity to the sport. They
Mhm.
bring better names into the sport. Because gradually, as we get a better top 10, the bottom 10 have to get better.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the progression of the sport. But I think that he should have gotten higher if it wasn't for the first half of the season.
Yeah.
That first half of the season, he could read AlphaTauri word for word on the back of Pierre's wing.
Yep.
I think it was more a shock of the car
Yeah.
not him.
Mm-hmm.
They did talk about how the car was more similar to F2,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is why George outperformed him more.
Yeah.
But the second half of the season, I think, is where he finally like brought his name back. He should have had a win in Brazil.
Really?
He should have. If him and Verstappen didn't have that racing incident, and yes, it was a racing incident, damn it. And I will stand on that hill until I die, okay? It was Verstappen lost control of the rear wheels.
Yes.
You see him correct it. You see you see the car fishtail, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You see it fishtail, and then Hamilton just takes the racing line, thinking that Verstappen will pull off.
Mm-hmm.
Verstappen couldn't pull away because the car was fishtailing.
Yep.
It was just two wrongs don't make it right. Hamilton thought he had the right of way. Verstappen was cooked in the car. Once again, collision in Brazil.
Classic.
How many years in a row do we get it? We'll find out, I guess.
Especially with Verstappen.
Yes. But I if he was on pace though.
Yeah.
If you look at each lap time, if that collision didn't exist and he didn't have to get he didn't have to get his did he have to get something repaired or did he just go in the pits for something? I know he had to make a stop.
Yeah.
I forget what he made the exact stop for though. But he was on track to win.
Yeah.
I think that Mercedes will bounce back this year. I don't know by how much, but I think that Hamilton himself will also bounce back, and I'm looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think his attitude has changed recently to make me like him more. Because that was my biggest issue with him. But I mean, the hero becomes the villain. Everybody hates, and then everybody likes him again.
Yeah.
We saw it with Seb, saw it with Fernando, and we're seeing it with Hamilton.
Mm-hmm. Season definitely humbled him a lot
I think so.
because the car just wasn't there for, I'd say, the first third-ish of the season.
Yeah.
And then we saw him making a lot of podiums at the end of the season. We were kind of waiting to see when he's going to get that race win,
Yeah.
keep the streak alive. Very unfortunate. And given that DNF in the last race, he probably would have been in fifth because Carlos Sainz with 246 points, only 6 points ahead.
I feel like I'm sighing with every single driver because every single driver has had some sort of disappointment, except for Verstappen, and we'll talk about when we get there, because I think that itself was a really weird conversation.
Mm-hmm. Well, now we get to talk about the pipe bomb in the back of a Ferrari.
Yeah, Carlos. Reliability problems.
Yep.
Driver error in the first half of the season, and then horrible team.
Yep.
3 wrongs.
Fantastic strategy.
Yeah, don't make it right. The beginning half of the season, or the first couple races, when he took himself out of the race, I think everybody kind of was like, oh man, he's not as good and consistent as everyone says he is. Especially compared to, once again, 21.
Mm-hmm.
But then second half of the season, he got himself together. He became more reliable. He became the driver he wanted to be. Silverstone, P1.
Yep.
Rip Leclerc because Ferrari couldn't make a strategy call.
Yep.
I guess it's okay. Ferrari finished second in the constructors, so being fifth, I guess, is suitable. You have to remember the team was horrible.
Yeah.
The driver was mediocre at times, great at others. And the car was amazing at times, but when it wasn't, it made itself known.
Yeah.
So for Carlos, fifth is where he belongs. Do you agree with that? Of fifth is where he belongs, or
I mean, considering Ferrari and the clown show that was, I could say that's where he belongs, but also a little bit of deserved better.
yeah, I would agree
Because-
with that.
You know, Austria, great scenes there.
Yeah, good old campfire,
Yeah,
good old Ferrari campfire.
yep. But if you look at last year's standings, he didn't move anywhere as he was fifth, but labeled best of the rest because
of
Ferrari
the gap.
just wasn't there. And surprisingly outperforming Leclerc. Because, you know, everyone's always thinking Leclerc's going to challenge for the championship this year, but no mention of Sainz.
Yeah, which is interesting.
Yeah.
I think that next year, one of two things are going to happen. Either, once again, Carlos will be close enough to Leclerc, where he deserves that seat,
Mm-hmm.
or it'll be Leclerc getting situated in that car, and being where Leclerc, where his standard is, and slapping up Sainz. I think those are the only. From where I see it right now, before preseason testing, that's where I think it was going to happen.
Yeah. I can see Sainz being closer,
I hope
more
he is.
evenly matched.
I hope he is.
Yeah.
I really hope he is.
I'm just worried to see what the team thinks about Sainz trying to slap around their golden boy. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially if they're in a title fight. Yeah,
If.
it's
Because
very big if.
because Mercedes was coming back the second half of the season.
Yeah, I can see Mercedes being in a constructors fight. Maybe not a drivers fight.
in a constructors fight. I would agree with that. I would agree with that wholeheartedly.
We'll talk about Verstappen later, but
Yes. Yes.
I have a feeling. All right, fourth, George Russell, 275 points.
Yeah.
Only 35 ahead of Hamilton.
I think only 35. I think that's still a huge chunk, though.
It's a bit,
Um,
considering I don't think Lewis ever finished higher than second.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, yeah, obviously.
George
he had to
won.
win.
George had his win.
Yeah.
Which helped him with those points a lot.
Yeah.
Lewis did have 2 DNFs.
Yeah.
George had the 1 at Silverstone.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he had any more. I don't know if Lewis had more. I know Lewis around. I can't think of what it is. When he just smashed into Fernando and then Fernando
Spa.
called him out. Thank you, Spa. He had that one at Spa. And he had the one
Abu Dhabi.
Abu Dhabi. 35. I feel like George being in fourth. I mean, it was his rookie year at the team.
Yeah.
Finally being in a car where he can perform. So fourth is good. For being the newbie at the team and having a 7-time World Drivers' Champion
Yeah.
as your teammate, I think that's exceptional for him.
Yeah. And having a whole single podium to his name going into that team.
Yeah, I think that George is on the come up.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm really excited for him.
Third, Sergio Perez, 305 points.
Checo. I'm going to start off with saying, do you think that he spun out at Monza on purpose?
Monaco?
Monaco. Thank you.
Monaco.
I don't know why I said Monza,
Yeah.
but Monaco. Well, let's start that
No.
quick discussion.
Come on. I really don't know how to feel about that. I mean, if you think about like the telemetry discussion, how he basically floored it out of the corner and spun it.
Mm-hmm.
that could have been just anything. That could have been him trying to spin it. That could have been him trying to make up a little bit of time, got too eager with it.
Yeah.
Considering that's like the longest straight on the track, as short as it is.
Yeah.
And, oof. I mean, he could have.
I think that it'd be ridiculous for him to do it on purpose.
Yeah. The type of person he is and the
Yeah.
driver he's been, I don't think he would do that.
Yeah.
It's always a possibility. We'll never know. Unless if he comes out and admits saying, yes, this was on purpose.
Yeah.
But we'll never know.
Yeah. It's one of those scandals of, does it matter in the grand scheme of things? No. Is it like a quirky tidbit to think about here and there? Sure. I mean, everybody has their theory.
Yeah.
But comparing him to his teammate,
Oh boy.
I'm glad he got a couple podiums and the win this season. How many wins did he have this season?
I feel like he had 2. Baku? Or was that last year?
That was 21. He was second.
I feel like he had 2. I don't remember where the second
Monaco.
one was.
I want to say there was there another one.
Singapore.
Did he win it? Did he win it?
Yeah.
Singapore? Okay.
Because I remember they were calling him King of Street Circuits.
True.
Yeah. That was an interesting race.
Yes. I mean, when you compare him to who he needs to be compared to, third's great.
Yeah.
Third's pretty okay.
Yeah.
I mean, he's more accustomed with that team with the car. I mean, what was the gap between him and him and George?
George?
George
30
was
points.
fourth. You said 30? Only 30?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I might change my opinion
Yeah.
here. Ugh. He needs to do better next year.
Yeah.
He needs to do better next year. But third for now, it's third.
Yeah.
I think that's good for him. Once again, comparing to his teammate,
Yeah.
I think third is good for him. So,
We can give 2 looks on it. Was that car a rocket ship, or is his teammate a god among men?
both.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
if he's only second or only third, then it could be Leclerc also driving like a madman.
Look, this is a good way to transition into Leclerc.
Mm-hmm.
Leclerc, amazing driver.
Oh yeah.
Finally given a car that he can drive the piss out of. Except
Ferrari.
Leclerc got screwed over so many times by that team. But he also screwed himself over multiple times as well.
Yep.
France,
A certain runway situation.
oh my god. I need to find that Twitter meme. I have it saved somewhere. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
He had so much runoff. I don't know what happened there. I feel like he should have been able to correct the car or slow down just slightly more or just
Yeah.
something. Just something. I feel like it was like a Vettel Germany situation from 2018. Wasn't it
Yeah.
when he just slowly stopped just
Yep.
and then couldn't move again? Leclerc is an amazing driver though. It's nice that he finally got the car. Now he needs the team behind him.
Yeah.
Because there was hope here and there until there wasn't
Yeah.
when Golden Boy, fucking Max Verstappen,
Yeah.
drove the flying piss out of that car.
Yeah.
Red Bull nailed the regulations this year.
Yeah.
They nailed them. Like I said, last year, I should say.
Yeah.
Verstappen, I think the argument of is Verstappen good isn't an argument anymore.
I don't remember what it was an argument. Well, obviously when he first steps in that Red Bull seat.
Yeah. The argument for Verstappen, I think, was mainly between 2018 and 2020. And then we saw 21. I mean,
Yeah.
he won the championship. And that wasn't all car. Because you have
Yeah.
Lewis in the Mercedes. Granted, Mercedes got hit with technical regs that
Mhm.
slowed them down a little bit and catered more towards the Red Bull. But I think that he showed that he was good enough. I still don't agree with how he won the championship.
Yeah.
I don't think true F1 fans really like it. Granted,
Yeah.
it was amazing. It was a spectacle. There's so many edits of it that it gives me goosebumps every single time just with how it happened. Once again, the argument can be presented. He should have won the championship.
Yep.
He shouldn't have won the race.
Yeah.
And I think that
That was
people.
definitely Lewis's race.
Yes. Oh, duh. Checo with that race was insane as well.
Yeah.
But I think that most people agree with that argument of he deserved the championship, not that race.
Yeah.
But the argument of is he good is gone.
Yeah.
He is great. He is amazing. And now he's given a car that complements his driving style.
Mm-hmm.
That's just fast as hell. He deserves. Well, what was the gap between him and Leclerc? Points gap.
146.
Okay. Yeah, that gap makes sense for two reasons: him and Ferrari.
Yeah.
But he deserved it this year as well.
Yeah.
More than ever, even more than last year, I think. I mean,
Yeah.
it's Verstappen. I mean, I'm a Red Bull fan. I'm not much more of a Verstappen fan anymore after what he did to Checo.
Oh.
Didn't matter in the grand scheme of
Oh,
things.
yeah.
Still, it leaves a bad mark on his name. Luckily, him and Checo, obviously, they're still great teammates and they're still good friends.
Yeah.
I just think that it was like, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
But
Him citing Monaco for that, something that nobody had even questioned until Brazil. How many months later?
Yep. And that's when we start looking at all the telemetry again.
Yeah.
That's when when that controversy, that wasn't even a controversy to begin with, came back into the spotlight.
Yeah. They talked about it in 21 with Leclerc crashing.
Yep.
And said, oh, he did it on purpose. But it's funny how it happened again the next year and nobody questioned it.
Yep.
Until Verstappen says, yeah, I told you guys earlier,
Yeah.
Monaco.
So, I mean, for the most part, everyone on this list kind of ended up where I expected them to be. I think the only big shockers to me that I think should have been higher, Alonso should have been higher.
Right.
I want to say Alonso should have been closer to. Alonso was what, 9th?
Yeah.
He should have been closer to 6th.
Really?
If he didn't have all those DNFs, I think he would have been.
Well, from where he was to 6, you're talking about 160 points.
Okay, maybe 9th to 7th.
Yeah. Because that's only 40.
Yeah.
Like, he could have been, like, maybe, like, I forgot what the number was, but he could have been closer to 150, I think they were saying.
Yeah.
And 150 would have put him well ahead of Norris
Yes.
by at least 20 points.
So I think that this last year's standings are very on par to what they should be.
Yeah.
The only ones that I think that should be lower are Latifi,
Yeah.
and that's about it. Everyone kind of performed where they should have performed based on the car.
Mm-hmm.
No one really outperformed the car to those crazy standards except for really Norris, and George debatably. But other than that, I think that everyone deserves their place.
Yeah. I think if we look at constructors' points, we can argue that maybe Zhou underperformed. But he was a rookie
Yeah, and I
in
think
a midfield car.
yes,
So you can't really expect points every weekend.
yeah,
So,
and he didn't have a lot of DNFs, did he?
There was the one in Silverstone, and that's
Well,
the only one that comes to mind.
Silverstone wasn't his
Yeah,
fault.
that was George playing bumper cars like he did in the middle of the season. We forgot about that.
George needs to stop. He needs to stop hitting people.
Yeah.
Because he ran into Schumacher at
Mhm.
Singapore and was like, "Oh, he turned in on me." Homie didn't move the wheel.
Yeah.
But that's George pulling a Verstappen.
Yeah.
But I mean, I am kind of a Zhou fan. At least I'm starting to become one, just because I think he has a lot of potential if he's given it.
Yeah.
And that all comes down to the season. I think that the season is his make or break.
Yeah.
But especially against his teammate. But I think that everyone deserves their spot though.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think anyone else should be switched out of that order?
Well, Latifi, you mentioned, you wish he was lower. Well, I mean, considering he had the full-time seat and De Vries steps in one race, to be fair, Formula E world champion in his first or second season after being F2 world champ,
Yeah.
and Latifi was what? I don't remember where he was, but it might not have even been top 5 before he got that seat at Williams. And all De Vries needed was 11th in a race, if he had an extra race.
Yeah.
It was L1 seat, so nothing you could argue there, but still.
Right.
If he just got 11th, not even another point, he would have been ahead of Latifi on 2 races.
Which is embarrassing.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Out of a 20 drivers championship.
In 22 races?
Yeah. That's bad. Not saying he was horrible. Actually, no, I am saying he's horrible.
He was Latifi.
Yeah, he's Latifi. There's the reason why the expression the Latifi is a thing. So, but yeah, I think that wraps it up pretty well though.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to add?
No.
All right. So, I really hope this thing is still recording.
Oh no.
But yeah, that wraps up our summary of the 2022 driver standings. Yeah, I'm TJ. This is Drew.
Yeah.
Tune in the 31st.
That
The
would be
31st.
Tuesday.
It's when Haas launches their car.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tune in the 31st. We're gonna go over that livery, whether we like it or not, compared to previous ones. And yeah, it'll be short, 15 minutes,
Yeah.
give or take. But yeah, tune in, have fun, watch more F1, or don't. I'm not your dad. Have fun.